Good morning, Jay Hood. Good morning, Cap. I'm sorry if you hear some noise in the background. I'm having some work on the outside of my house, and they are here even though it's a bye week.
All good, man. So we've got a question for you. As you looked in last week, I should have run to the window. I should have gotten on a plane and gone to Vegas and bet anything I could. When you said, I really like the vibe around this team, that was a tell to me that we're going to play well out there. Now that you watched that game and spent that, lengthy amount of time in London, tell me where you're at on the Bears here during the bye.
I think the bye is at a perfect time. If you look at the 10 games they've already played and they got 11 to play, I think when you have this mid-season type of bye week after that London trip, it's perfect time for recovery at some really important positions. And to me, it's the defensive backfield. When you have Tyreek Stevenson, you have Jaquan Brisker, you have Kyler Gordon. The thing I want most going forward is that position at the healthiest it can possibly be. They have depth at other positions, but I don't think you really want to test the depth extensively at the defensive back position. I'm not taking away from the guys that came in and played because they did a fantastic job. I just think as conditions deteriorate and the season winds on, that is a position of utmost importance, especially going into the division. I really think that the trip last week was beneficial. That was my 7th international trip, and it's the only one that's ever been done where they've stayed out in the country. They had a real training camp atmosphere. It was only the players. They had a chance to develop that mid-stride camaraderie and rekindle some of the friendships and relationships they started in the training camp. And I do think that they were the best energy-stoked football team come game time than in all my other trips overseas.
Okay, let's talk about Caleb Williams, because as I sat there and watched, and I love the creativity on the double fake screen over the middle, the Cole Kmet touchdown, but the throw, talking to Waddle, talking to Olin, I would love your perspective. The throw over the middle to Keenan Allen was eye-popping. I haven't seen a Bears quarterback make a throw like that. Your thoughts?
You're talking about the touchdown throw, right?
Yeah, to Keenan Allen.
Cap, about that throw, it's amazing because Keenan Allen still had his back to Caleb when the ball was out of his hands. And it was just unbelievable trust in a receiver with his experiences from a young quarterback that has to learn those types of trusts with those types of receivers. And it was just an amazing, when I saw it live, I couldn't believe it. And then going back to look at it on tape and to see how evident it was that he was getting rid of the ball before Keenan was able to have eye contact with him, but he knew where it was going to be and he was there. It was just remarkable. It was just remarkable. One thing about Caleb, and I was talking about this yesterday with Jeff, if you could just have a video of Caleb's feet and head, nothing else, you could tell a lot about him because his ability to set his feet and it being a really proper throwing foundation, and then the way his head moves on the length or the width of the football field, it's just those types of improvements that aren't as evident as just making completions and the right decision and putting the ball in play. It's about the totality of a game for a quarterback.
Okay, then I want to ask you about another throw. It was not a touchdown. Later in the game, the Bears have, I want to say, a 3rd and 12, maybe it's 3rd and 11, and Caleb throws, I'm telling you, a fastball on a fairly deep slant to Keenan Allen, who caught it with his eyes and his fingertips, got up and went first down, Chicago. Justin Fields, and this is not an anti-Justin thing, Justin would never make that throw.
Right. The thing about it is I think any quarterback that's willing to make those types of throws, they have to have confidence in the development over time that the receiver is going to understand his landmark to the catch, and the quarterback has his confidence in his own accuracy to be able to throw it there. And I do think that's, part of the two parts of a veteran receiver like Keenan Allen that has those expectations. And then you got a young guy who, for the first time in a long time, has the confidence to make that throw. So again, it's just another interesting building block of it. Before the game, I said, that somehow the Bears have to get Keenan Allen back actively involved in this offense, because previously the last 2 weeks he only had 3 catches. And I don't think that he can be a forgotten entity of this offense. I think he's got to be as a major part of this offense as anybody on that team, because you don't want them to balance coverage to DJ or to Cole or to even the awareness of DeAndre Swift. I think you need to make sure that they spread out their coverage responsibilities in the safeties and the area of the field that they're dedicated to make sure that you can keep this offense run as efficiently as possible. And I think Shane Waldron did a nice job of making sure they kept and keep Keenan Allen involved in this offense to benefit everybody.
Defensively, there was Kyler Gordon goes out. There was no Brisker. There was no Stevenson. What is your thoughts being around the team on the health of the club and where we're headed when we go to Washington?
I got to believe that Jaquan Brisker will be back. And I'm not sure about Tyreek or Kyler. And I hope that they're back because, Kyler Gordon really gives a defense positioning uncertainty by the offense and the line commitment. Because when you have the offensive line, they hear pass protection, they break the huddle, they go there, and they identify their commitments. And then you got Kyler Gordon, who kind of plays in and out of that linebacker distance. So you have everybody that's in a stance are committed to offensive linemen. And then you have that linebacker to the strong side. He's also part of your commitment. But if Kyler Gordon now steps up inside the feet of the linebacker, he becomes your commitment. And then it changes the commitment during the cadence. And now you got offensive linemen that rather than really having sturdy help on the line of scrimmage, they're trying to get an intercepted position of either the linebacker or Kyler. So now that weakens the block at the line of scrimmage and puts more concern in the head and the mind of responsibility of the offensive lineman. That's why, to me, Kyler Gordon is such an integral part of the success of the front seven of this defense, because he can really stay in that uncommitted responsibility position. And sometimes, like you saw him a couple times that he blitzed, he was untouched. The one blitz that Trevor Lawrence scrambled out to his right, if Kyler Gordon would have stayed to his outside shoulder instead of spinning in place, I think he would have intercepted that escapability of Trevor Lawrence. So that's why, man, I really like what we're seeing out of Kyler and how he benefits the defense.
And Tom Thayer with us here on the Cap and J Hood Morning Show. Tom, we've been talking about the NFC North and how strong it is. Before the season, as a show, we thought that the NFC North would be the strongest in the league. How much does that surprise you so much? You got the Vikings at the top. You got 2 teams that are 4-2, the Packers and the Bears, and the Lions are 4-1. What does that say about the North as far as its strength?
Jay Hood, going into the season, I thought Green Bay was number 1, Detroit was 2, the Bears were 3, and Minnesota, even with J.J. McCarthy, was number 4. I'm most surprised about how well Sam Darnold is playing because, this guy, he's been dead and buried a couple times, and now he's got a resurrection unlike anything we've seen in the NFL. But I do think because of Caleb Williams and the uncertainty of a rookie quarterback and how they're going to develop in time and space, he's developing at such a rapid rate that I think you got to put the Bears right up there with Green Bay and Detroit. But when you think about the environment of playing at Lambeau, playing in Minnesota, and then playing at Detroit on Thanksgiving Day, the Bears fans are going to have to show up and make it equally of a dangerous place to play in Soldier Field when the division teams come here and play. And, as much respect as I've gained for Sam Darnold, I need to see him last the season. And the coach over there, O'Connell's doing a great job of developing him, but I still need to see Sam Darnold do it for a season.
We could see a World Cap. We talked about it. What if all 4 teams in the
made
North
the playoffs.
made the playoffs because of the weakness of the West? The Cowboys are 3-3. We don't know what that is at the end of the season. So, there's a strong possibility. What if we saw all 4 teams get in? That'd be something.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would, for all of us being sports fans our whole life, it would be a first for all of us, I believe. And it's not out of the realm of possibility, because you look at what one of these teams are doing, where their potential is going forward for the remainder of the season. You got to think that, there's some quality opportunities for all of them.
So I want to ask you, here's a stat from PFF. These are the quarterbacks who throw on their first read the most. Daniel Jones, 88% of the time. Trevor Lawrence, 87.9. Andy Dalton, 80%. Will Levis, 79. And Jaden Daniels, 77.2. What does that tell you? Because he's a better thrower of the football than Justin, but he strikes me that he has a lot of Justin Fields-like qualities, where Caleb is much more of a cerebral, read the defense, read, react.
One thing about Jaden Daniels, you look at some of the throws that he's willing to throw to McLaren.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could be blanket covered and have help over the top, and he's still going to throw to him. He uses his speed as a weapon. So he's got that one guy that he's willing to go to a majority of the time to put him in other opportunity, passing. But, when you talk about first read guys and you have a guy that has the speed of McLaren, it's really not a hard decision. And he's got great accuracy. He's a good athlete. He throws well on the run. And if he can put it into a catchable area, especially if it's more than 15 yards downfield, where you have that time to create separation from the defensive back, you have that open opportunity. And then they're on the same page, right shoulder, left shoulder, back shoulder, that, he can, repeatedly throw it to the same guy on the first read.
Tom, we were as I was listening to the broadcast, it's what I do every Sunday. My sync game is awesome. You sync up the TV to ESPN 1000 for it's great. It's the best. No way I was listening to Rich Eisen. I was going to listen to Jeff and Tom. That's the way it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom, you mentioned in the broadcast, and I thought the same thing sitting in the hood cave watching this. There has to be a better system and better communication between the sideline and upstairs as far as these replays are concerned. There were two plays in that game I thought I saw on Sunday in which I thought they were replayable. The one play you mentioned to Jeff, you said, hey, man, the ball held up the receiver for him to be able to continue on with the play. And so, but there's no replay. There's a second opportunity also. So how could that get better, that communication? Because against better teams, as you move forward, that communication's got to be tight.
Jay-Hill, the only thing I could see is, say each official has a very specific job of what they're doing. The line judge is not looking at the pass reception. And so everybody has whatever official made the call, then you go to the sideline screen they offer you at the game. And then if you're having a conversation with the guys in charge in New York, and then let the guy who made the call assist on the call being made. Because I don't think it was a hard decision to make, and there was a lot of obviouses to the end result of that play. So that's the only thing I could think of, because even in, watching some games throughout the weekend and college games, even the official that's on site makes the wrong call, and then when it gets overturned at the stadium, and they're kind of confused about, the decision that has been made.
Tom, the bye week, you said, came at a very good time. How important, again, I know every game is important, but there were a couple I felt like you had to have. This Washington game, measuring stick, must win. How do you characterize this game knowing it's Caleb against Jaden Daniels?
Well, I kind of bunched these two games together, Cap, because, all right, so they play Houston they play at home, then they play in Houston, they play in Indianapolis, even though Indianapolis, the crowd noise wasn't that destructive. Then they came back for home games. And then Caleb got more in command of the volume cadence and was able to get these guys put in the right place, and the offensive line showed a little bit more discipline according to the cadence. Now, Washington is going to be out of control because it's going to be Jaden Daniels against Caleb, and the crowd is going to be on the side of the Commanders. And then you go to Arizona, Kyler Murray against Caleb Williams. And I do think there's going to be a strong Chicago presence, but it's still going to be an Arizona crowd. So now, can the offense on the line of scrimmage still be as efficiently run when you don't have the cadence that it was the last couple weeks, including London, because it was a Bears crowd in London, and Caleb was able to use a volume cadence. So that's what my big concern is discipline, line of scrimmage football by the Bears offense. And then when you look at the defense, they're going to be able to hear the cadence. They're going to say, okay, does Jaden Daniels as a rookie falling into the rhythm of using the same cadence repeatedly? Then you kind of figure that out by the second series game. And then if these guys are getting a jump on their offensive line, then you'll probably see some plays being made by the Bears defense. So I'm gonna group these two games together just because of that one aspect of the game.
The best meal you had in London was?
Woo, man. I ate salmon on 3 different times, Jay Hood, and they are all marinated differently. There was one Cajun, there was one the honey teriyaki, and there was one, and I don't know what it was, but man, for some reason, I don't know if I was just hungry every time I had it, but the three times that I did, I had a great fish and chips also.
Mm-hmm.
One that was outstanding, and they had one of the food trucks there that they offered the players at the end of the day. That was fish and chips, lobster rolls, and prawns.
Oh wow!
And yeah, and I know that there was a good. Everybody was complimenting the fish and chips there. Cap, I want to say one thing. The other day, I had a cable guy worker here in my house. We got into a conversation, and we were talking about dogs, and he goes, "Yeah, I have a dog, and his name is Cap." And he's a big fan of Cap and Jay Hood, and he named his dog Cap after you.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's something.
But he's a big ESPN 1000 fan, a big Cap and Jay Hood fan. So I just want to tell you, man, you're getting dog love out there.
That is
Isn't that
awesome.
something?
What kind of dog is it? Please tell me it's like a big
It's
dog.
it's a little mix, man. It's such a cute little dog. It's like a Jack Russell Terrier Chihuahua or something
I gotta
like
take
that.
a picture with that dog.
I was hoping it was a Shih Tzu.
Oh, you know what?
I tell you what, he's coming back next Wednesday to finish an appointment. I'll ask what it is exactly. I'll get a picture of him, and I'll send it to you.
That'd be awesome. Hey, man, have a great rest of your day, and we appreciate you.